Hey everyone, it's Kristen, and I'm bringing you my 7 favorite decks of 2019. So let's see, one, before I just purchased 4 of them within the last couple of months. So I can't say that I've worked a lot or extensively with some of these, but I can usually tell how I'm going to work with a deck when I use it a couple of times. So I'm going to present to you my 7 favorite decks, and let's see, 4 of them are tarot, and 3 of them would be oracles. So let's get started. The first deck is actually the most recent one I purchased, and that is the Afro Tarot. So this is a deck that I've been wanting since it first came out, since before it came out, but it was just too expensive for me to get. And then it went on a flash sale around Christmas, so I was able to get it. And I have done a deck flip through of this, which I will post a link to. I don't think I've posted it yet, but you can see a flip through of all the cards. I'll just be showing you some of the cards. And this is a deck by Jesse Jumanji. It is a digital collage style deck. And I really like the color scheme, the contrast in the cards, and just the imagery. It's just really powerful. So this one is the Afro Tarot. The next one, actually probably the next 2, you might be very familiar with. To me, this was I would say, a kind of popular deck this year. You may have it in your collection. The Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sterl. And this one was another one I was kind of waiting on. I'll just show you some of the cards. It comes in a nice box. There's a little guidebook for it, just to give you a sense of what's inside the guidebook. You can see how small the writing is, but I think it's sufficient. This is really a deck that's based on Rider-Waite-Smith. So if you know how to read that style of cards, you should be okay with this. I'll just show you some of the cards. And you can see that it's called Modern Witch, so all of the images are modern. They're modern day, like she's, listening to music. She walks off the cliff. And I really think that that's helpful for readings. You're reading in a modern day world. She's on her phone. I think it's helpful to have images that are also modern as well. Am I just in Pentacles? I don't know what I did. Let me show you some other things. This is the Queen of Wands. This is a card that if you look at it quickly, you won't notice it, but it looks like this character has vitiligo, which I thought was really, really unique. I haven't seen that in a deck. So what I like about this deck is the diversity in it. But it is all, at least to my sense, female characters. But I just think it's a really cute deck. It's done in what I would consider my style, which is kind of like a cartoon style. But the images aren't, you can use them, I think, in a lot of different ways. They're not too like cartoony in terms of, just using the deck for different styles of reading. And this was, I guess, probably one of the most popular decks this year, just all around, is the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Sann. This particular deck is the Hay House version. I did not get the original version because of the thick cardstock. I do not like thick cardstock. I can't shuffle it. So when I found out there was going to be a Hay House version, I waited for that one. So with the Hay House version, in case you don't have that one, this is the book that comes with it. Open up a page so you can see it. So you can still see the stuff that Chris Ann wrote. There's a little phrase down here at the bottom, which to me is like more like an affirmation. You can see that for all of the cards. So there's still a good amount of information in this little guidebook. And I will show you some of the cards. I do like the cardstock though. I know there was some problems that people had with the cardstock being uneven, and I believe there is a remedy that the publisher is offering for that. But I have not had any problems, with the deck. And like I said, I like the way that this deck shuffles. I love how the writing how it's borderless, and the writing, the titles are embedded right into the images. I think that the way that she did this was done really well. And again, this is what I would consider a very modern representation of the deck, which is really nice. So maybe that's like a trend, more kind of modern interpretations of the cards. And I'm not doing this in any particular order, just what's in front of me. This next one is a oracle deck. And this one is Do Yoga Anywhere. This guy, Mike Medaglia, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. He also has a tarot deck that came out maybe a year or two ago. So I had seen the tarot deck. I actually have the tarot deck. And so I was aware of when this deck came out, that it had the same, I recognized the drawings and stuff like that. And I got this because I take a yoga class, but I also look at yoga poses and postures as symbolic as well. So let me just show you the deck. It is really a deck that's designed to be used to come up with like yoga flows. So for example, some of the cards, I'll show you the backs first. So the backs do have writing on them. So this would be a sequence for a flow sequence. And then on the front, it gives you, these are from the different cards. It shows you the different postures so you can create a whole flow sequence. This one would be a balance sequence. And so again, you can just go in step-by-step order and create your own flow. Now, I don't use any of these cards. I don't use any of these cards. The main set of cards, I don't know exactly how many. It's 45 pose cards. So there's 45 of these cards, and you can see how large they are, but they're really cute. I love the color palette. They go both vertically and horizontally. And you can see that they just show a picture on the front, and then on the back, they give you an explanation. So it tells you what the posture is, and then like the benefits and some background information on it. So I'll just show you some of these. I think of these, though, as divinatory. So I still use this. I use all of these. I still call this an oracle deck. Even though technically it's not really designed to be an oracle. But I use them as an oracle. So I might be wondering, it could be something physical that I want to work on. It could be something emotional that I want to work on. It could just be something, working on finances. How can I be more open to abundance? And like maybe I shuffle, and I pull this card. Um, when I get into that pose, I'm really thinking about what is my body doing. So in this case, like I'm reaching up. So it's like saying reaching up for that abundance. So symbolically, it could mean I'm not reaching enough. I'm not reaching high enough for, that abundance in my life. So that's really how I use this deck. Like I said, I don't necessarily use it to come up with the flows. I just think about the different um, poses symbolically. This one, to me, if I got this one, it could mean just surrender. You just got to surrender everything. This pose, any of the twists that are kind of taking you, like your body's facing one direction and your head is going another direction, to me, that's always about changing perspective. So that's just how I use this particular deck. And like I said, it's a fun deck to pull and see what poses you get. Okay, the next deck is another oracle. It is the Everyday Witch Oracle. I know that the Everyday Witch Tarot was really popular. It came out some years ago, but I've seen a lot of people with that one. And this is the Oracle deck by Deborah Blake. It's I'm not sure if the artist is the same. It could be, but this is kind of like the Oracle to the tarot deck. The difference with this one is that from what I saw, I don't have the Everyday Witch Tarot, but it's the same character on all of the cards, which I think is really great for seeing yourself or seeing the seeker in that scene and knowing which person they are in the scene. But what I like about this deck is that it's more than one person. And it's more diverse. So that's what I really like about this deck. And it is, I'll show you more cards. You probably are noticing different elements. So the 4 elements are represented here. And again, it's still a modern kind of representation, I think. This deck for me is just a happy deck. I just love it. I just really love the images. They're just wonderful. They're just like, this would be like a sad kind of card. This says tears of joy and sadness. This is probably like the saddest card in the deck. Most of the cards are just, and I don't mean like they're all happy, but there's just something about the way that they're drawn and the color schemes that is just really pleasant. And I love the full scene. There's a lot of animals. There's mostly cats, but there's a lot of things happening in each scene. So even though it's an oracle deck, to me, it has a lot of stuff to go on beyond just reading the keyword or phrase at the bottom. And there is a little book that goes with it. And let's see. There aren't any, like, you don't see the picture in the book, but you get the information. And the book is, what you'll notice when you get the book is that, find a good page, is that the deck is divided into elements. So there's 10 cards in each element. And you can kind of see, they don't say so much which element you're in, but you can kind of figure it out. This is air, because I can see all the wind going around him. If there's fire in there, then it's a fire element. And there's also a different color scheme. So you'll see, for fire, there's going to be more red, orangey types of colors, water, this kind of color scheme. So I just really like this deck. It's just a really pleasant deck to work with. And I think you can get a lot of great insights from it. Also, especially if you like to work with the 4 elements, this is a great deck because it's already divided into those elements. All right, the next deck is an oracle deck. And this one I wasn't really planning to get. It wasn't necessarily on my radar, but the deck creator was having a sale, and I'm trying to remember what her name is. She is the author of the Spirit Speak Tarot, and I got that, and Mary Elizabeth Evans. And so when I was buying that one, I saw this one, and actually I'd seen it before. I have a love-hate relationship with collage decks. And so I wasn't really sure if I was going to like it, but there's something about this one, the Road to Nowhere Oracle, that just, I don't know, it just grabs my attention and I can't stop looking at it. So I'll just show you some of the cards. This is what I would call a true collage deck because it's kind of like what I would say random images put together. And usually I cannot read decks like that. But this one I think I really like just because a lot of the theme she has, the words that she uses, I just think are really powerful. And the images that she's put together are, you know, they're just very evocative. You see the deck is kind of large. And let me see, I don't know. I don't remember how many cards there are in this deck, but it's a pretty thick deck. It has a nice cardstock. You can see that it has like that kind of glossy, shiny cardstock, but it's not too thick and it's not too thin. I would use this deck for what I would consider more esoteric, more spiritual types of readings, more deep, self-discovery types of readings. And there is a guidebook. Show you. There's a guidebook. So I think there's enough information in the guidebook to, you know, give you a sense of what was intended for each card. And if you can read collage decks easily, like some people just kind of pull out the symbols that they see first and give insight for those. If you read those decks easily, then this is probably a good deck for you. It's probably a deck that you can read easily. And so my last favorite deck, I just got this maybe last month. And so I haven't gotten really, really deep into it. I've done some different readings. It is the Mystical Dream Tarot. So I kept seeing this on people's IG feeds and I was like, what deck is that? It looks pretty. So then I looked into it a little bit more. I really like, you know, for the price, to me, this is a really great deal for a deck. It has a nice sized guidebook. There's a good amount of information on each of the cards. There's more information on the majors, I believe. So this is just, I opened up the page to the minor arcana. There is also reversals that she talks about in this book. And something that I don't think I've seen in about 20 years. This is how I know it's a good resource for you. I think it's really great when deck creators add spreads to their, you know, guidebooks, but it's more important to me that they actually show you sample readings. So just ask yourself, when's the last time you saw a sample reading in a guidebook? And she has quite a few sample readings. That's one. It's another one. And so she goes through the whole sample reading card by card, which gives you a sense of how she's interpreting the cards. One of the things that I think, the reason why I think this is important, like I said, people used to do this 20 years ago, but I don't really see it a lot now. To me, this shows me that you are an actual reader. Okay, when you're showing me a spread, but not just the spread, you're actually showing me a sample reading with that spread. To me, that's how I know that you actually know how to read these cards, and you're not just, you haven't just been paid to write a book about them. So this deck for me feels like an old school tarot deck. That's what I'm going to say. And I am not familiar with this woman, Janet Pidolato. I'm not familiar with her, but she seems like she's been around, for a while. There is a dream kind of basis for this deck. So if you are familiar with dream work, dream interpretation, then I think you would really like this particular deck. I'm going to show you the cards. I do find that, like, for example, this is the Ten of Swords. You will find that the imagery is not quite Rider-Waite-Smith. However, I think that you could still interpret this deck if you know Rider-Waite-Smith. I personally like when deck creators give you a new twist on the images, because it makes you think more about them. I think it gives you just a different perspective and more information to kind of download. But the book does give you the overview of the card, like it does explain the images. You'll notice that the cards have that kind of shiny, to me, that they feel good. Sometimes when you get that shininess on them, they seem really thin. If you're used to the 400 GSM cardstock that I do not like, then this will seem thin to you. But to me, I just want a deck that's going to shuffle well, and this shuffles pretty well. Okay, so that is the Mystical Dream Tarot, and I'm really looking forward to working more with really all of these decks more in 2020. I've just had like a cursory introduction to most of these, and just looking to put them more into practice, into my rotation in 2020. So I hope that you've enjoyed. This is just meant to be a quick overview of my favorites. There might be some of your favorites in this group too. And maybe I've introduced you to a couple of decks that you haven't seen yet. So enjoy. Thank you.